Okay, the recording has started. So our goal for today is to inform parents new to the U.S. public school system about navigating schools, more specifically high schools, and provide you some tips and resources on where you can find answers and help, how you can find help if you have other questions. I know the first month it can be extremely hard. It's definitely an information overload. You will be also attending maybe new freshman orientation. You might be going to a curriculum night where lots of information is being given to you. And sometimes for parents who are new to the system, because they don't have a baseline foundation, it can be very challenging to absorb all of this new information when you don't have something to hook it onto, to connect it with, to make sense of some of this information. So hopefully we are building this foundation that all of the information that's coming to you in the next couple of weeks, it'll all make sense. So the first one is an introduction as to who we are. We are the Issaquah School District Family Partnership Team, and we work with our families that are culturally, linguistically diverse, to help them better understand the school system, because we're noticing that as a school district is growing, we have a lot of families coming from different school systems throughout the world. Sometimes we have families coming from different areas of the country that have not had a same school district policy and procedures system as we do. So if you are unsure as to what our school system's like, if you are unable to help your child, it can be something, it could be hard for you to support your child if you don't know yourself how to answer the questions that they might have, or how to guide them in the next 4 years to gain success and to graduate or to move on to the next chapter of their life. So that's why we are here, to help answer questions and help our families. So one of the things is, here is our school district website. So many of you know, and some of you might not know, our school district changed our face page. We had an update to our website. Our address is also different. So when you're looking for our district, please search Issaquah School District, and you will see the Issaquah School District 411.org. Now this is a district page, and then we also have all of the schools linked onto the district page from here. When the school district sends you announcements, a lot of the information is also coming through from your schools, is also coming through the district page. All of the schools, their pages look the same. So if you go to Issaquah High, if you go to Skyline, if you go to Liberty, the main layout, all of these tabs are all the same. One of the things you will note when you visit all of these sites is this tab over here, and this tab is a Google Translate to help you change the language into several different languages. And if there's a language on here that is, if your language is not represented here, please let us know. And we can also add that to the list. Our page is under families, sorry. So once in the district site, our page is under programs and services. This tab you'll see is also buses and transportation, the counseling department, special education, lunch, and so forth. But we are under cultural and family partnerships. And under this cultural and family partnership tab, you will see that we talk about our work over here. I'll talk more about the family liaison in the next slide. Today's event, for example, is under events and workshops. Those of you who are new to the school district completely, so those of you who are 6th, 7th, and 8th grade families, so last year your middle school year was new, but you're familiar with Canvas, that's one thing. But if you're brand new to the school district and not familiar with Canvas, I just want to point you that the Canvas workshop is coming up in September. But this is where you, as families who might need a little bit more understanding of the school district, can find additional events to help answer questions. In addition, today's presentation will be posted under resources. So under resources, we will create a tab called tips and resources by the about schools in the Issaquah School District. But here is something I want to point to you. Many parents ask questions about course selection. Please go to these two links again under resources, 8th grade transition. This one is the PowerPoint, and it also has a video. So all the PowerPoints are in here, and there's a video, a YouTube video. And Melanie Bonanno, who is a director, assistant director of the for the counselors in the counseling department, she gives a lot of information about course selection in that video. So, and we can also answer questions about it at the end of the presentation and have a presentation for you. But we will create a new tab over here, and this is where the video for tonight will be posted. And finally, at the bottom of the site, you will find all our contact information for future events. Okay, or if you have other questions. So as I said, we would talk about who the liaisons are. And the liaisons, I didn't introduce them, so this is a perfect opportunity to have one of the liaisons introduce themselves.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ina Gangurdy. I'm a family liaison, and I support families in the Liberty feeder pattern, which you can see on the screen under my name. A feeder pattern is simply all the schools that will feed into the middle school and then the same high school. So some of my schools don't feed into Liberty High School, but that's just the way that we have worked out our schedule. But and then all that said, I don't only support those families. If somebody has a question for me from another school, I can happily support you and help you find the answer. And then I will also connect you with the liaison for that school. So feel free at any time to contact me. The best way to contact me is by text, since I am not always at my desk. And I would be happy to help you in whatever way I can.
Thank you, Ina. Susie, could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Susie Yamane. I am the admin assistant to the equity department, which Cultural and Family Partnership belongs under. So welcome.
Thank you. And Susie will read any of your questions that you put in chat through your presentation if you don't want to interrupt, but we will also answer questions. We will definitely have time to answer questions at the end of the session. Also, I want to point out that we have a liaison who works in the Issaquah High School feeder pattern, and she is currently doing the presentation in Spanish. We also have a liaison who works in the Skyline feeder pattern, and she is currently doing a presentation in Chinese in the Zoom session for our Chinese families, Chinese-speaking families. So our school and district calendar. So I'm going to start with that. The school district calendar, for those of you who are brand new to the school district, this is an important link to go to. It's under calendar and it's under home and about us. It has the website. My husband, ever since he met me, he has been making sure he bookmarks this to make sure we plan our dates. Couple of the things is, those of you who've gone through kindergarten through 8th grade, you're going to notice that your child has a slightly different schedule this year, in a sense that they will not be using trimesters, they will be using semesters. We'll talk more about that. But I'm just pointing this link to you so you note, because there's also several no school days that to parents may not make sense, since they seem to be pretty random in October, January, and in March, which is a snow makeup day, last day of school on the 20th. And also, looking at this calendar, one of the things I want to point out, especially to our families that are culturally and linguistically diverse, sometimes families tend to travel and want to travel, and because of distance, they might travel for long periods of time. And it's important to note that to look at the calendar to see what days the students will be missing, because any missed work, the students will be responsible for making. In high school, The number of absences definitely data has shown that it's correlates highly to grades, because it's really hard to make up a lot of those grades, because in high school, teachers tend to teach and the pace is a lot faster. So it's very important to try to avoid missing days as much as possible. If you need to schedule dentist appointment, doctor appointments, look at the calendar and choose dates that will work, that will not impact student learning. Look at your child's schedule, look for dates that might be over a lunch period or over a class that is not highly impactful for the child's grades. But though I'm saying that, we want to recognize that there are religious and cultural celebrations that are important to family, and we do recognize that. And if you are missing school for that reason, please make sure you are informing the teacher and the school registrar, because you should be sending that absence in as an excused absence. And we are trying to keep track so that we are making our teachers and our staff more aware of some religious and cultural celebrations. So we're just more mindful as we do our planning for those dates, activities on those dates. So under upcoming, the district calendar again, going back, sorry. A couple of the notes I want to make sure you all have is that the curriculum night will be on September 8th. It will be an in-person curriculum night, and it's the same day for all 3 high schools. One of the places to really look for this kind of information is under upcoming events on the school district webpage. It lists all of this. And in high school, it can be really overwhelming to keep up with all the dates that happen, because there's just so many more things happening. The sports events, the first day of different sports. Over here, it's showing you laptop distribution, textbook distribution, but there are a lot more dates available in general. So just use this page and keep this in mind as you're trying to figure out your child's schedule. We're going to talk about something called Canvas also. And Canvas, your page in Canvas is also a great place where the school has important dates like midterm, end of quarter, end of semester. All of those kinds of dates are also marked over there. Next one is bell schedule. So make sure you check your bell schedule on the school's webpage. In high school, it's a lot more complex. What you're going to notice at the high school is that the bell schedule is different for Monday, Thursday, and Friday. And then there's a different bell schedule on Tuesdays and a different bell schedule on Wednesday. Note, Wednesday, just like middle school, starts late, okay? So Wednesday is called a late start date. The mornings the teachers use for trainings, and school starts approximately 10:10 on Wednesdays. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, school starts at 8 o'clock and ends approximately 2:52, 2:55, depending on the school. But on Tuesday, the schedule is different. Now, on Tuesday, we have something called odd classes, or it's a block of odd classes. And then on Wednesday, it's even classes. So it's slightly different. Also, a big difference is all schools have 7 periods in high school. And that allows students to have a little bit more flexibility in elective classes. And that was especially designed to give them more choices for elective classes as they're graduating and taking classes towards graduation. The final thing I just want to mention is that the parking lot in the morning and after school can be very messy. So keep that in mind as you're dropping off your child, but so that your child can be in class early, and it really is impactful for the start of school. So taking the school bus the first couple of weeks of school is really helpful. Or if your child's a walker, having them enough time or walking to school. But just note that the parking lot is full, and in the high school we have a lot of student drivers, so it's also a lot more bodies there. If your child is old enough to be able to drive to school, make sure that you have applied to get a parking permit for a spot at the schools. the grading calendar. So as we mentioned, it's a semester schedule. So now we have moved away from the trimester schedule. There are 2 semesters. The first semester is September until the end of January. And at the end of January, this is very important. At the end of January, the students are going to take finals. That final is going to be part of the grade. Also, other big exams the students have taken and projects they've done, some assignments they've done, all of those grades are going to be combined and analyzed and put together to create a final semester grade. That final semester grade is the grade that will be appearing on the child's transcript. So we're not going to go into too much detail about the transcripts and getting credit for classes, but that comes into play because to get credit for the class, a student needs to have an A, B, C, or a D. Any grade above a 60% is considered passing, and they would get credit for that class. That letter grade, an A, A minus, B, B plus, that grade will appear on this child's transcript. It'll also appear on the report card in Family Access. The actual percentage you can see in Canvas, and we'll talk a little bit about Canvas soon. What I would recommend is that starting in October, that you start monitoring the grades to make sure that your child is doing well. In the Issaquah School District, the teachers, the amount of communication between teacher and parent is very much teacher dependent. The only requirement teachers have is that they need to keep updating the Canvas grades every mid quarter. So the first quarter ends in the end of October. But around early October, teachers will start posting some grade. You'll have some grades in Canvas, end of October again. So check the Canvas grade, because that is where teachers post or enter assignments, and you can monitor that grade to see how your child is doing. So end of first quarter, then the semester, that's it. So end of first quarter, the grade keeps on going. It doesn't end and restart like a trimester. It just keeps on going till the semester, and then the semester ends, and then end of very last day of January and February on starts a new quarter, which means it's a new grading system, new grading period, not system, new grading period, and that grading period will end in June. So that is over there. So if your child is taking an ELL class, please double check to see if that ELL class you get credit, because I don't believe all ELL classes are for credit. So it depends on how it's classified. So that is something I would ask your school counselor or your ELL teacher, because we were working on how some of those classes were entered and how they'll appear on the transcript for credit system. If your child has a semester-long elective class, note that they might have a different class second semester. So for example, my daughter is entering 9th grade this year. She is signed up to have yoga and ceramics this semester. In January, she's going to get a final semester grade for those 2 electives. And then in late January, early February, she's going to start a new semester, and she's going to have a new elective where she's going to have a self-defense class and another elective class. So the elective classes very often will change. And it depends on the elective, if it's a year-long elective or if it's a half elective. She is going to get 0.5 credit if she passes all of her classes in January. And so at the end of January, if she's passed all of her classes, she will have received 3.5 credits. Students need, I believe, 28 credits to graduate. So preparing for the first day of school. Unlike elementary school and middle school, students will not have a general supply list posted on the website. So I would recommend for you and your child to buy some general supplies that you think that might work. honestly, I wouldn't take, especially for more expensive binders and items, don't take their tags off and find out. Usually on the first 2-3 days of class, the teachers will give a list of supplies that are needed, and then you can go from there. Of course, students always will use certain supplies such as paper, pencil, some spiral notebooks, maybe a composition notebook or two. So there are certain supplies that are very standard that kids always use. So ask, the teacher will provide the information for the more detailed list, such as if there's a specific calculator that is required. If buying the calculator poses a financial difficulty, please note that you can ask the school if you can borrow a calculator or some supply that is super expensive, or you can apply for financial aid if you have to own that item from the school. All of the high schools do have lockers, and I'm going to honestly tell you the lockers are not very convenient. So most high school students opt out of asking for a locker. However, they do exist. And if it works out for your child is welcome to make a request for a locker at the front office, and your child will be assigned a locker, and they can see how it works, if it makes sense for your child to be able to visit the locker, to drop items in the locker and use the locker. Otherwise, in high school especially, most students use backpacks, and they will be storing their backpacks, their lunch in the backpack. Very often students don't have books that they carry as much anymore because we are trying to move all the books onto online textbooks. However, there are some classes that a book might not be digital. It depends on the class, honestly. And so you'll find out more as to how much they'll be carrying and what's needed that very first week of school. So it's really hard to buy stuff before school starts. You will be notified about your laptop distribution date. As you noted in one of the previous slides for Issaquah High School, the laptop distribution date was posted over here. So they will be giving laptops on September 1st. And at Liberty and at Skyline, they will make an announcement as the first day of school approaches regarding the specific date for laptop distribution. And that leads us, of course, to the laptop discussion at school. So we are very excited at the Issaquah School District that this is the first year that all students in the high school and middle school will be given a school district laptop to use for the course of the year. And laptop information and the checkout information will be sent to you directly from the school. I don't exactly have the dates for all of the schools, especially Skyline and Liberty. So they will be using a laptop daily to submit assignments and part of their daily learning. So this is really helpful. We piloted the program at the middle schools last year. The high schools, they didn't have a one-on-one, and it was much harder because some students were using their phones and such. And now that we have laptops, it's going to be much better because the laptops have programs to help filter inappropriate websites. The teachers are able to monitor the screens a lot more. All of the apps, because sometimes students were struggling being able to access some apps on their personal computers. Very often computers would die, or there were a lot of problems. The batteries would be dead, and there'd be problems with the charging cord. So all of those kinds of problems we are able to solve for by doing district assigned computers. So having all students on a district assigned computer, we've determined is much safer for our staff to monitor, easier for staff to troubleshoot for technical issues, and so compatible. And we only made sure that all of the curriculum and applications are compatible with the software for our district assigned computers. Now, parents have questions regarding laptops, including what happens if my child were to damage or lose it. So all of that information is also available. The link is on the site on here, including what type of laptop that they'll be getting. So note that if a laptop is stolen, damaged, you all should have signed a form when you did EVP. If you're not sure what I'm talking about when I say EVP, the enrollment verification process, which is about 17, 18 forms that you completed online approximately 2 weeks ago, let us know and we can help you complete them, because one of the steps was for you to sign it. And only if you've signed it will your child be able to get the laptop in a timely manner. And another thing it presented on that was that knowing that if it's broken, the fine for it is $580, but there was insurance available, which was approximately $75 a year with the $100 deductible. And then there was there's information also here regarding paying fine if you had financial need. And a big note was also that the laptop will be needed to be returned at the end of the school year, because they use that time to refurbish, fix, update the software and so forth on the laptops. One of the other things to note is that please make sure you sign the responsible use agreement, because in last year, since many students brought their own computers, very often they'd play games, they would be emailing, they would be doing a lot of personal work on their computer. And just like for families who are, when you have a work laptop that you're using at home, you want to be very mindful about how you're using that laptop. So I would strongly recommend for families to have a conversation with their child as to how they're going to be using these school assigned laptops, because we do have a lot more filters and we do monitor it a lot more. So we want to make sure that the students are not running into any problems or getting into trouble for how they're communicating and how they're using this laptop. Students also have digital learning that they do on responsibility and safe use as they use and assign these laptops. So COVID protocol. So now it feels like COVID protocol is a part of our school year, but just a reminder that COVID protocols are very similar to what we had at the end of last year, is that if any student is to test positive for COVID, they are required to isolate at home for 5 days. And after 5 days, if they test negative and they have no fever without the use of fever reducing medication, then they are welcome to come back to school. But after 5 days, if they're still testing positive, then they need to isolate for a full 10 days. And when students return after 5 days because they are negative and because they have no fever, it's recommended that they still wear a well-fitting mask for 6 to 10 days at school after the testing positive, just to make sure people are safe, but especially for sports, clubs, and extracurricular activities. Just a reminder that schools no longer send notification about individual cases of COVID-19, especially at the high school level. Very often, families are receiving notification even last year for elementary level, but not for the high school level. The high school level, we don't really send notification as much because students are interacting with so many students around in their classes. Canvas. Now, this is a biggie. If you're brand new to the district over the summer, Canvas is going to be brand new to you. And so it's going to be a new learning. The good news is that the district has a lot of resources on how to use Canvas on the website. And this is a link to the Canvas site that shows you how to use Canvas. If your child went to middle school last year, good news is they all know how to use Canvas. They're pros at it, but I'm going to tell you right now that all of their logins have been reset. And so when they start school next year, they're going to have to reset. It's going to go back to the original login, and they'll have to reset their login for the new school year. And that's just because so many kids forget their login usually over the summer. So it's just easy to reset all the kids' login and have them reset it and start fresh and remind them that not to share it with anyone else. Parents, you can go your login, if you've forgotten your login, like I have, since I haven't logged into Canvas since, sometime in mid-June, I will be clicking on forgot password and updating my password to Canvas and getting my new Canvas password. You should be able to do that by August 20th. Usually give the school about a day. And then you will be able to see what's going on. Your teachers will have, the Canvas is a great way for the parent to find out about what is going on in the student's school, because the teachers usually post their daily work. And also you're going to find out right away the expectations and the school supplies, all of that information will be posted on Canvas starting that first week of school. So teachers no longer have websites as we used to in the many year ago days. Now the website is actually their Canvas account. Now students and parents have a very different login. Parents are highly discouraged not to use their students' login to get in for security reasons, because then they might be able to see the names of other children in the class, and they might possibly be able to take tests for the child and so forth. So that's one of the reasons why parents have their own login and students have their own login. So please set up your account if you have not already. And if you go to that link that I just showed you, there are many videos to help you better understand Canvas. If you're brand new to it, parent login, and there are many tutorials. However, if you're more of a learner from someone presenting and teaching you, please note that we will be doing an event to help you with it, to help you learn about it. But I really enjoy, my daughter has been using Canvas for the past year and a half, and I've really enjoyed that learning management system. And that's what LMS means. It's a learning management system that we use for all students in the Issaquah School District from 6th to 12th grade. And also just letting you know that very often colleges also are using Canvas. So this is a great tool since it'll easily translate as they move into college. Lunch. High school lunch is amazing. I worked for my first 5 years at high school, and then I moved to middle school and then to elementary school, because they have so many different options for a hot lunch. But just a reminder that there's a specific hot lunch that is considered as part of the free and reduced lunch program. Some of the other meals are not technically part of the free and reduced lunch program meals. Also a reminder for all parents, because for the past year and a half, lunch has been free. So many kids have been taking advantage and not being too worried about buying lunch. So a reminder, if your child wants to eat lunch at school and they're not getting a free lunch or reduced price lunch, please make sure you put money into their lunch accounts. And you can easily put money in their lunch accounts. I love putting money via the lunch accounts. And what you just saw pop up, by the way, is if your child was in middle school and elementary school in previous years, please note that this year they're changing all students' lunch numbers. So my daughter is going to be very sad about that, because she's had her lunch number memorized for the past 9 years. So, I don't know if she remembered it in kindergarten, but definitely from 1st through 8th grade. But she's going to have to remember a new lunch number starting in 9th grade. But all of this information for the school lunches and putting money in the lunch account and everything is all available online. So I would recommend, if your child is going to be buying lunch, to put some money in My School Bucks. And it's basically an online program where you can use a credit card to deposit money into your account. You can also set a recurring reminder to deposit money in if the lunch balance goes low. Or you can you can even set it so that it just sends you a reminder saying, by the way, the lunch balance is $5, then you will have to decide. Now, if you don't want to sign up for My Lunch Bucks, you can send a check, no cash. You can send a check with your child, and your child can give it to the lunch person at the school, and the lunch person in the school will take the check and deposit it into their account right there, the cashier, when they're buying their lunch. So there are two options. My School Bucks is a credit card payment online, and then you can do a check through your child, giving it to the lunch person at school. It's not really even to the office. The office usually prefers not to handle lunch money and go directly to the cafeteria person. Lunches have increased in prices here. It has gone up to $4.25 a meal, 50 cents for lunch. The lunch time will depend on your child's schedule. You will note, just like in middle school, depending on what a certain class, usually it's 4th period, they'll either have A lunch or B lunch. Sometimes, especially the first week of school, lunch lines are very long. School lunch times are between 30 to 35 minutes long. Usually the older students, which is your juniors and seniors, are very often allowed to go out and very often do go off campus for lunch. Depends on how much time they have. Very many kids do that, but it's completely dependent. Some schools, there are many restaurants or places to eat close to the school. Some places not as close, so it depends on the school. Another thing parents ask for is the menu and the nutritional data information. For those families who are new to the area and have concerns for health, allergen concern, maybe if they're looking for halal foods, or maybe if they're looking for kosher foods, you can ask. I would recommend that you talk to, send an email to the director of food services, or talk to someone. You can let me know and I can help you look at it. But the digital menu also has some information. You can enter it through here to see what allergens are in the food, and get more information about the food, gluten-free, stuff like that. I know that they do also have lactose-free milk, for example, at the school. So a lot of information can be found on the school lunch menu information over here. So you can go to the site and look for the weekly menu and for the allergen information. So over here you can see filter allergens. And I'm going to say, what if I have allergies to peanuts, and see if anything, has any indicator. No indicators here. Oh, PB&J sandwich, you can see those as options for not to have. It'll just give you some of that information. But here you can see the options for the 31st for lunch at high schools. So it's quite tremendous. Next one, transportation. Now, I wish I could show you exactly how to look up your bus route today. Last year, they had released this information a little bit early, and I was able to walk through using my child's name and birthday to look for that information. But it's not available just yet, so I can't demonstrate for it to you. But if you go, and this is one of the big questions families have, how do I know what bus? Because if you have a child going from 8th grade to 9th grade, chances are you're on a new bus route. The thing is, we no longer send a postcard with this information. Many years ago, we used to send postcards, but we don't do that. Now everything has to be online. So you are going to come to this site, find your bus route. When you come to this site, you are going to click on Access eLink to look up your student's bus route information. Then you are going to be able to put your child's name, and the password is really their birthday. And then you're going to log in. And then when you log in, it gives you the options to look at your child's schedule. Ooh, wow. Maybe I'm wrong. Look at that. Can you guys see it? It tells me that my daughter is going to be going at that time, and that's her bus route and so forth. So it's saying that it wasn't ready, but it looks like it is ready. But this information, it looks like it is posted. So you can try it after this presentation to see if it's working. Let's experiment again, actually. See if all of it works. Login. Student, yep, high school schedules are posted. Note, the high school bus route is pretty early. It's showing that she's going to have to start at 7:10, and then on Wednesdays 9:20. But great news, I'm so excited that I was able to show you this site. So please look and see. Some of you might have questions because you're not sure if your child has a bus. And if you're not sure if your child does have a bus route, put your name and information in, and you'll see if there's a bus route. And if it's not giving you information, and you live pretty close to the school, chances are you live within a 1 mile distance as the crow flies from the school, and so you don't qualify, unfortunately, for bus service. But if you're not sure that that's accurate or not, you're always welcome to call transportation and ask questions regarding that. If you know you live pretty far away and you have tried getting into E-Link, please call the transportation department at this number. The school office is really unable to help you with that information. Now, one of the things I really want to point out on this is my absolute favorite because they only started sharing this information recently, and that is the activity routes. So if your child, for example, my daughter attends Issaquah High School, and when she goes to Issaquah High School, if she does any sports or clubs and she stays after school, this tells me what the stops are for Issaquah High School. And there are multiple routes, so I just have to find the route that will work best for my child. And so you can see what the route 4 is, which is more Preston. Route 17 is more Pine Lake Road and Black Nugget Road. So this one has all of the activity routes. So if your child is in sports or clubs and they take the activity bus, which is not their regular bus, they will take something called the activity bus. There aren't as many of them, but the activity bus has a lot more. When the activity bus drops off, it drops off at routes that are not exactly the same. Very often, your child has to walk a little bit more if they take the activity bus. So that's what it says. So over here, activity bus does not use the same bus stop as regular route. Okay, so check when clubs and sports starts. It'll save you the drive back and forth that your child is staying after school and takes a bus. The other thing to bring up is that if there's a snow day and the school is delayed, 1 hour delay, snow routes, 2 hour delays, snow routes. If their school is delayed, very often there are alternative routes that they use. So please make sure you're looking at the emergency transportation bulletin. They actually mailed this emergency bulletin to you sometime in October, but this bulletin also has all of your snow route information, so you know where your bus, what your bus route is going to be, because it's slightly different when it snows. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you're not sure about this information and what I've just said, please ask me at the end of the presentation. Sports. So sports season for football has already started. For volleyball, cross country, and so forth, it started yesterday. I know students are starting to practice, but no worries. They're going, especially I know Issaquah High is going to have, some of the schools have like a sports meeting date. But the big thing for you to note, if you want your child to start sports next week or as soon as possible, make sure that you have a sports physical for them through your child's pediatrician or medical clinic. And that sports physical, it's a specific type of physical, that sports physical is dated by the physician after June 1st. Now, when you get the sports physician physical form, you will then have to upload it into a portal called Final Forms, okay? And that portal you're going to find on the school district website. So if you go to, I know, by the way, that this is a lot of information, so please hang on with me. The main thing is to note, don't worry about it. You get the slide deck. You can get to the links. You'll have access to the video. And I try to use the website to help you learn where all of this information is. So the athletic information is under student life, it's for students, under athletics. And under athletics, it shows you all of this information, what the sports season is. And for your fall sports, you're going under fall sports to learn more about football and all the different sports. Note, cross country, football, golf, soccer, all of this. And then under each one of the tabs. So for example, cross country team, by the way, is like nearly over 100 students. And so they practice and they've already started doing that. All of the information is posted over here. There in sports, there's something called cut sport and no cut sport. And a cut sport is a sport where when students join that sport, it's possible if they're not as gifted in that sport, they might be cut from the team. But cross country, swimming, some of those sports are non-cut sports. So the child is definitely able to practice and be part of it and participate in events or tournaments or whatever part for that team. Now, the thing with sports though is there's also a cost for sports. So all students who do sports need to buy an ASB card. In general, I would recommend that all of you make sure you purchase an ASB card from the school. Money for ASB goes to help support clubs and sports. So while public education is free, the ability for schools to do clubs and sports is not. So the ASB fee goes towards funding of those programs, and all of that money is in a separate pot as state money for the school. Now, sports do have a fee. I think it's a bit expensive, but that's the cost for the supplies and for everything needed. It's $200 per sport per student. If you do a second sport during that course of the year, there's another $200. But if your child does 3 sports, let's say, or more, they don't have to pay for additional sports because it's a cap of paying $400 maximum per year. Okay. And also, if you have a financial hardship, you can talk to the ASB bookkeeper. You can go to the office and ask for this person, and you can talk to them and you can have those fees waived if needed. So this is sports. And again, note, there are several sports in the fall, just showing you what sports there are, because there are more sports in middle school than there are high school, because most sports in high school than middle school, thank you, such as tennis, swimming, girls soccer, we had it, but it was a little bit off, I know in the past couple of years, golf. So those are some of the ones that are in high school. In addition, we have winter sports such as basketball, and there are 2 parts to winter sports. So winter sports, we have boys and girls basketball, swimming, gymnastics, and then boys swimming and diving. Wrestling also is available. And then spring sports would be track, baseball, golf, softball, tennis. So there are many options for students. So they can, honestly, many students are able to do all 3 sports, all 3 seasons in a sport. So yeah, sports, high schools have a lot of sports, but I'm going to tell you, high schools have even more clubs. And this is the number 1 thing I would recommend for your child, to join a club. In all honesty, the school district really tries to have a club available to meet each and every child's niche interest, because clubs is really where the students feel like they're part of the school, feel that they're welcomed, feel like they belong. And that sense of being welcome, belong, enjoying, having something to look forward to in high school is crucial to help building that psyche, a child's psyche, for success in their classes. So I'd highly recommend that you encourage your child to join a club. There are numerous clubs. Now, some clubs have selection criteria. For example, they need to be in the band class in the school, or they need to be in a specific class, or they need to be part of the leadership program in the school, or ASB, that is a program at the school already, or maybe there's cheer, to be a cheerleader, cheer tryout. So for Honor Society, there's a criteria of certain grades and so forth. However, they have numerous clubs that are not criteria based, and students are highly encouraged to join those clubs. Now, as your child finds a club that they really like and a niche that they feel like they belong to, keep that in mind, because really, honestly, by the time they get to their sophomore and junior year, participating in a club, what they do, being a leader in the club, what kind of activities they're leading or encouraging the group can do, that information is going to be shared, or students are asked that information and asked to share that information in their college application. So their clubs that they are part of is part of the whole college application process. Schools like to see students who are well-rounded, that are not fully academic based, but they have interests and passions outside of school that really engage them. And so this well-rounded concept is a big part of college acceptance in the United States. So that's one of the reasons we really encourage students to do and join clubs and sports. Not all kids are physically endowed to really be great at certain sports or any sports or all sports, but clubs, that's something that really all kids can be part of. We have robotics clubs, DACA club, a lot of different clubs. And to find that information, see, I'm going to use Liberty this time. So if you go to the Liberty, let's say your school's district's page, now note, as I said earlier, all of the schools, this front page looks exactly the same. And you're going to go to student life, and under student life, you're going to go to activities, and under activities, you will see the tabs for ASB funding, which you're not going to worry too much about, but you're going to go straight to clubs. And under clubs, you will see the very long list of clubs, okay? Many, many clubs. And again, if you don't find a club that your child is interested in, you can create one. I know a family, one of the questions on the Google form was regarding science club, science Olympiad. We have Science Olympiad at Liberty. You can double check with your school if they have one at IHS or Skyline. I can't quite remember what school you're at, but if they don't, you can start creating one. Okay, robotics, Prism, ping pong, all of these clubs are there, NJROTC, Math Club, Key Club, and the Key Clubs are at each of the high schools. They're part of Kiwanis, and I'm a Kiwanian, and so I encourage them to do that. It's a lot of community service. FCCLA, which is again Family Community Career Leadership, Dungeons and Dragon Club, DECA Club. So DECA, a band, which is a criteria-based club, badminton, baking club. So there's just a lot of clubs. So again, I would look at the activities tab, clubs, and find your club. It's going to tell you what days and time and what room and who is the teacher or adult advisor for the club and what the purpose of the club is. Now, some schools, I know that Skyline has this, I think I think it's 1 o'clock on Monday, the 29th, and Issaquah High School has a new student presentation on Monday between 5 to 7, I believe, at the high school. So find out, because on those days, if you're going to either one of the schools, it's a great time because they also have some students from different clubs there to find out more about the clubs that are at the school. So, because my daughter, for example, is interested in 3 or 4 clubs, but will it really work out? So meeting other kids from the club is really helpful. So right now, if you're missing the activity, if you can't go that day or the school is not hosting one, I'd recommend going to that club that day and just checking out who all are attending so that you can kind of find out more about that club. So do we have apps other than Canvas Access for high school? And the answer is within the Canvas learning management system, all of the apps are in there. So there are actually a lot of different apps, but the students access all of those apps via Canvas because they go into it from Canvas. It really helps for the login and password information. And so getting into the account via Canvas allows them to get into their other accounts. Sometimes they do need to put passwords, but then they can set all of their passwords as they go into it from Canvas. So yes, the answer is there are many apps that students will be using. There's Zello, there's ClassLink, there are several of them, including they have access to the public library, and that app is also in Canvas. So there are many apps, but all of the apps, and that's why it's called a learning management system. So when they log into Canvas, there's one one section that just has all of their different apps that are placed in there. So clubs, and then how can you help your child? So some of you are right now mind blown, too many things going on, it's overwhelming. So really one of the big things we recommend is to be their coach. So talk to them, sit down with them, show them where they can find some of this information. Talk to them about interests for clubs and sports, because that's really a great way for them to meet new students. Because if they're coming from a specific middle school, keep in mind that students from at least one or two other middle schools are also going to be joining in there. So there are going to be more students for them to meet, new friends that they can potentially have. Show them the school website. Show them the bell schedule. That is key to really help them with the bell schedule, help them create some kind of plan so they are not late. Because the first couple of days of school, the first couple of weeks, is just the overwhelming anxiety of getting lost, not being able to find your class, knowing what the bell schedule is, just fitting in, because you don't want to be the kid who walks in 5-10 minutes after the bell rings, because then everyone looks at you and kids are so self-conscious. So helping them with that part really is a huge part of the first couple of weeks, just getting that part done. Packing their lunch so they're not hungry. Starvation is it's not that they're truly starving, but having to stand in long lines for lunch is problematic. So just making sure that those simple things are taken care of and meeting their needs. Also making sure that you're talking to your child about how school is going and so forth, so that they know what to expect. The other way you can help your child is by looking at their class schedule with them, making sure that all of their classes have been assigned to them. So as an email was sent to all families, and I believe on Monday, Tuesday, so yesterday, today, all of you should be able to look at family access to see what 7 classes your child is going to be in next year. When you're looking at that, here's something that you should be looking for. Does your child have an English class, ELA class? Does your child have a social studies class, like the history class? Does your child have a math class? Does your child have a science class? Does your child have a PE class? Does your child most likely have, usually most kids take a language class, a Spanish class or something like that. So look at those. So English, social studies, math, and science, critical. They really need many credits for those classes, that every kid should be taking those classes nearly every single year. So look at that schedule. If your child is in ELL, that might not be on their schedule just yet if you're brand new, because they might need to test into the program, and within the first couple of days they might be moved into it. So that is something you might want to check with the school counselor or the ELA teacher. Now, all of the 3 schools right now, they are high school counselors. Your child is assigned a high school counselor. So my last name, for example, is Gilmore. So my child's school counselor is Rachel O'Font, because she is a counselor for students between the letters F through J. And so there are many school counselors at each school, so you will need to communicate with your school counselor. The good news is that school counselor will follow you through the whole high school time. So that's the person who's really going to know your child's schedule, and that's the person you're going to be contacting. If you have questions, the number one question most of you have, course selection information, beyond looking at my link in the video we had. If you note that your child's schedule is wrong, or they don't have a class that they really wanted, you should be asking for the schedule change on this Google form. All 3 schools, well, I know for sure that Liberty and IHS have it because I saw it on their sites, so you can double check Skyline and let me know. But I know that none of the all of the schedule requests change. All of the counselors have so many things going on right now that they have asked for any schedule request to be sent to them via the Google form, because today was part of the summer hours, and their regular hours start next week on Tuesday. Another thing to note is that school counselors You can visit and make an appointment with them, but I would recommend if you want to talk to a school counselor, you send them an email to make an appointment with them. Also, because so many of them are right now busy working with course changes for the students in their alphabet range, give them at least 2 or 3 weeks before you ask to meet with them about general information questions such as course selection. Counselors also work with students regarding social and emotional counseling, anxiety, depressions, issues like that, which are so prevalent nowadays with so many of our middle and high school students. So if you do have a concern such as that for your child, I would recommend that you email and ask that to be a priority, and just let the school know that as your child is coming to school, that is something you really want to talk to the school counselor about. And if the school needs to make some kind of plan or do something about it, make sure you focus on prioritizing that and letting the counselor know that this is a high need. And if you don't hear from them by the time school starts, if you want action done before then, just double check with the counseling office secretary. Of one of the parents also asked about something known as a 504. And a section 504 is something that students have if they have any kind of health need or learning, certain kinds of learning needs. So for a 504, the school counselor, again, is the person who does a 504. So if you have a child that requires a 504, sorry, I'm trying to get to here. So if you go to search and you type in 504, and you can find out information about section 504s and the coordinator, but note that your child's school counselor is the section 504 coordinator. If you already have a section 504 plan in middle school, it automatically, or in a different school, it automatically follows you to Issaquah High School. That's the same as if your child had special services or kind of any kind of health plan, but double check with a counselor about that. If you don't have a section 504, you can have, there's information to refer your child for an evaluation and a meeting and discussion for a section 504. So parent, guardians, and school staff can refer a student for evaluation if they know or suspect that due to mental or physical impairment, a student needs accommodations. So sometimes it can be anxiety, sometimes it can be for diabetes, for asthma, for ADD, ADHD. There are many different factors that might qualify a child for a learning disability. The main thing is, does it impact a physical or mental impairment that limits one or more major activities? And then the site right here tells you what those activities are and what kind of considerations are taken in determining if a child qualifies for a section 504. So in high school, one of the main things to note again is that parents should be communicating with the parent actually doesn't communicate directly with the teacher as much in high school. That's one of the main things I want to tell you. Very often in high school, we try to encourage the student to advocate for themselves and create situations where they can talk to the teacher. So this, oops, sorry, I keep on moving this here. Students are encouraged to advocate for themselves. So you might want to help coach them if they're very shy or scared or hesitant. And sometimes they might not tell you. So it's really hard to get that information going. But it's always something that in high school, students are the pathway for making change happen. In 6th grade, very often teachers and parents might communicate, definitely in elementary school. But through middle school, that goal was for the student to learn how to communicate directly with their teacher. The teacher communication is primarily through the grades they post in Canvas, the comments they make in Canvas. So really for you, parents are not going to get any specific Most parents don't get specific communication, usually unless there's a problem. Sometimes a parent might communicate with you if a teacher might communicate with you if your child did something extraordinarily wonderful, or some teachers might call all of their students depending on the type of teacher. So it's very different and dependent on each teacher. But in general, the teacher expectation is they post information on Canvas and the parents receive information regarding their child's academic welfare on Canvas. And if there's another kind of concern, most likely the teacher will email the parent about a specific concern, maybe about behavior or something. But otherwise, even if your child is not turning assignments and not doing as well, chances are it's only through the Canvas, checking the Canvas grade, that you're getting this information. So even in high school, they're not going to come home with a report card and need paper flyers, even less so. So in high school, there's even less communication directly between a parent and a teacher. Most of it, it's encouraged that the parent help a student figure it out, and then the student communicate with the teacher. That's not to say that you can't email a teacher. You definitely can, but we encourage you to ask the student to do it first. And then if that's not working, then you go and then you step in and help them. Curriculum. So the curriculum is all standards-based core curriculum. There's a lot of information for curriculum. The best thing you can do for curriculum is attend curriculum night. And in curriculum night, the teacher will post all of the information, all of the sites they use, the books they use, especially the books are online, will be posted on there, so you could see the details. AP classes, for example, there's a very different curriculum for AP class. The honors English books, for example, will be different set of books that students read versus regular English. So it's very hard for me to share what the curriculum is because it is so dependent on the really wide variety of classes that are offered at the high school level. And that's a beauty of it, but it also makes it difficult for me to show what is being done in each school. But know that the school district adopts curriculum for the different classes being required, and the curriculum is adopted and approved by the district. And in each school, there might be slight variations because teachers can supplement things here and there, but in general, curriculum is adopted by the school district on what is being taught. And the curriculum night will provide you the best resource for what is being taught. One of the things to note for some families is there's a big shift from knowing factual information and not knowledge to higher order thinking skills. So students are less likely going to be asked to memorize facts and regurgitate facts and knowledge, and they're most likely going to be asked to apply information. So if they know the volume of certain shapes, they might give you a problem in math saying this, here is the size of a sphere and blah, blah, so it's all a word problem. So it's rarely a whole bunch of mathematical equations, but definitely a lot more word problems to help them in the application of what they're learning. Encourage your child to participate in class and get help from the teacher when needed. Model what it looks like. The number one thing I hear from parents is very often my child doesn't tell me anything, so I don't know what to do and how to help them. And that is the hardest thing. So, start having conversations now as much as possible. Look at Canvas, talk to other parents, but trying to have those conversations with your child is the key, because it's really important to help teach your child how to advocate for themselves and how to talk to you, and to find out how they're talking to the teacher in class, or if they need help talking to the teacher. Teachers have office hours very often, and they'll post that information on Canvas. So again, Canvas is really a big key. Your child can email the teacher and ask for help. Now, your child has an email account on Office 365. The thing is, the Office 365 emails account, I don't know for high school, because I know in middle school, they're not allowed to communicate with outsiders. because of safety reasons. So it was locked that they could only send emails to other students or staff members. So you can see if they CC you, if you actually get it. But I think it's very locked for security reasons. But at the high school, it might not be as locked as much. But if they use a different email alias, they can email the teacher asking questions and CC you so that you're part of the conversation. But again, it's student initiated. Okay, we're trying to encourage students to initiate conversations and advocating for themselves as much as possible, because again, in the US school system, independence is stressed and students encouraged to ask for help from the teacher, not the parent. Again, that doesn't mean that you can't go in, but you're encouraged to get your child to do it first, teach them how to do it, model, and then if that's not working, you go in and ask the questions. There aren't very many volunteer opportunities like in elementary school. I would strongly recommend that you join PTSA or PTA in the high school. They have a Facebook group. The schools have a Facebook group. At the high school level, especially as your child is approaching their sophomore, junior, sophomore is 10th grade, junior is 11th grade, those 2 years, because they're taking tests, different tests. And when to take the test, when to apply for colleges, all of that kind of information. One of the things is Facebook groups at the high school and the PTSA groups. They're very good as to reminding parents, because life is complex and sometimes there's too many things that we forget: due dates, submission dates, application dates, test dates, and these kinds of social media groups at the high school, specifically for just high school, can help you get some of that information. So, you know, and the other thing is I recommend that you sign up for school announcements and make sure you're getting it. So you should already all be getting announcements from your child's school. So, and if you're not, double check, because all Family One members should be getting an email from your child's school. If you're not, please sign up for it. How can you do that? If you go to the school's main page, scroll down, you'll see a button called announcements. News is different than announcement. News is, you know, fun stuff that students are doing, awards they might be winning and so forth. Announcements is more business-like. So here was a Issaquah principal email, schedule change request form. But if you're not getting the announcement or the information from the announcements, you can sign up to get announcements sent to your email, and you just need to sign up for that. Okay. So that's the Facebook, so how to join there, and announcements. And then next one is questions. I didn't see too many questions in here, so I am going to now stop the recording. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat. We have time to answer them. The very last slide, I'm going to just share it again for a second. The very last slide was the staff, the liaison's contact, so you know which liaison works at your school and which liaison to contact. So you can put that, contact that liaison. Susie, I'm going to ask if you wouldn't mind put the form so they can put their name and email, so I can send them this link so they can fill out the feedback form. And it's mainly for your email and to ask how this, what parts of this presentation helped and what questions you have more of. And if you have more of, you're welcome to type it up in the question box so I can answer it now. And if we're unable to answer it, we can contact you later. So if you have any questions, please feel free to enter it in the chat right now, or you can unmute yourself and ask that question. Okay, what do you mean by flex time and bell schedule? So let me show you flex time. So flex time is dependent on the school. So Skyline and Liberty call it flex time, and then Issaquah High either calls it flex time or it calls them it nest time. So if your child went to middle school last year, you will note that sometimes your child did SEL, social emotional learning. So maybe sometimes during flex time, the school has a presentation or a conversation about that. Or maybe they're going to have the students all, for example, your child is doing something called high school and beyond, which they have to do towards graduation, where they have to do certain surveys, that they have to kind of fill out some forms. Maybe they need to write a essay or something regarding what their future is. So the school district has these requirements for high school and beyond, and they have a couple assignments that students have to complete each year. So don't worry, it's not like a big class and they get time to do it. But when would they get time to do it? It's not part of their school day. So the school makes sure that they have some time. So it's kind of like free time where they can potentially even go to another teacher's class if they need to ask a question, get help, or make up a test, right? So this is a time in their schedule, and let me show you what it looks like. So flex time, for example, at Issaquah High School is mainly on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and on Tuesdays it's 35 minutes, not Thursday, sorry, Tuesdays and Wednesday, and on Wednesday it's about 45 minutes, okay? So it's usually they do like the announcements on Wednesday for the week, and then they do this nest time, which is 40 minutes. So you can see they have two big 40 minutes chunks where they can maybe make up a test, go to a teacher and ask a question. It's more flexible time for the student to use. Maybe they can get together with several other students if they are working together in an assignment, let's say in math. This group of students need to write an essay or do a project together or do something together. That's when they'll use their flex time. So flex time is basically exactly what it is. It's flexible time that the students use to complete projects, assignments for the class, network with other teachers or work with other teachers, ask questions, work on projects with other students, so they can use it for what is best needed for them. Okay. Syllabus for getting world language credit. So the world language, so I'm not sure what that is. So if you're asking about taking the world language test, there are world language tests that you can sign up for. And what is the syllabus? I can't actually tell you that. And I don't think we have that available for us. So there's a world language proficiency test. Let me show you where that information is. It's competency-based credit. And there are many, many tests that they can take for different languages, like literally many, many different tests. I'm looking for so information on it is on the website. And here is the credit for competency test. And you have to go through the counseling office to schedule when you're taking the world language test. And you can take the test in many, many languages. And then there are many levels of what you can pass and get competency for. So world language. I'm looking to see if there's any kind of I don't have that. And so what I can do is I can direct you for that. So I see another, if you're looking for the syllabus for a class for Spanish, French, or Japanese, the teacher will give you the syllabus for the class that your child will be taking. So the class syllabus will be posted on campus. So if your child is taking Spanish, Chinese, Japanese, I actually don't know if Chinese is offered at all schools, but I know Spanish is, French is, and sometimes Japanese or Chinese, but the teacher will post the syllabus. Now, if you're interested in taking a world language of test to get credit, then I don't believe that we quite provide a syllabus or like something to study from. You are responsible for that on your own. And then you can sign up to take the test and take the test to see if you'd earn credit and how much credit you would earn for that class. So another question is coming to me regarding something called a WIDA screener. And a WIDA screener is to see if your child qualifies for ELL. If your child speaks a different language at home, or if your child is like English is not their first language, and the school is just checking, and they're going to provide your child with a test to see if their child may qualify for the multilingual language learner program, which many years ago, or a couple of years ago even, it was called ELL program. So you got an email because something in your application suggested that your child may qualify or benefit from being in the ELL program. So if you respond to that email and talk to the person, you can find out what the screener is. But your child would take a test to see if they need help in English language as an English language learner, or if they're fine and they don't need any support as an English language learner. Now, if your child does qualify, I would recommend that you consider it or have your child join it, because being in the MLL program really helps your child get the foundation for academic language needed to improve their skill so they can succeed. And sometimes there are supports added with being in the program to help them through some of the process and the graduation process of school. So it's a conversation definitely to be had with the English language teacher or the school counselor, or really with one of the liaisons to find out more about it and how that impacts your child and at the level that they're at. Do we have any other questions? Those are just the questions. Okay, his high school ASB. I got an email regarding high school ASB. What is this about? I'm not sure what the ASB, what an email regarding ASB would be. So if you're talking about ASB fee, or because there's a $60 ASB fee that students pay to be part of the ASB program. I'm not, if you contact me or one of the liaisons or liaison who's working with you, they can look at the email and try to figure out what the question is, because I'm not sure if I can help you based on your question. If you want to unmute yourself and ask me that question, you're welcome to do so. But let me just tell you what ASB is. ASB means Associated Student Body. So ASB pretty much, Susie, am I showing the Issaquah High School page in ASB? Okay. So ASB basically means all the students at that high school. And usually they try to make sure that all the students are part of that. That group, the high school, will then vote for a president, a vice president, a secretary, treasurer. Sometime towards the end of the school year, you can see who the ASB board members are. And these people have meetings to help determine some of the ways and activities, maybe socials, what the prom theme is, a lot of different things. They host dances and events to increase school spirit. So this is what ASB is. So I don't know what the question could be and what that email would be. Maybe the ASB advisor, it depends on who sent it and what they're asking for. In high school, students can select any curriculum and without necessarily being in high cap. Is that right? Yes. So it is called self-select. So In high school, students will choose classes that they think best fits them. Now, there are always going to be criteria that we suggest you look at, but that is, again, student-based, and they can try to do the best they can and challenge themselves. Also, there are sometimes prerequisites. So, for example, they always recommend, take Algebra 1 before you take Algebra 2. And take this, this level class before you take the next level class. So in the course catalog, in the student, it's posted on the website, the high school catalog, look at that and see what the classes are. But you do not necessarily have to be in a high cap program per se. Any student can take AP classes. Any student can take an IB class in Skyline. AP is at Liberty and at IHS. So anyone can do that. Now, I'm going to show you something again. This is just for Issaquah High. This is also available for Liberty and Skyline. But if you go to the counseling website under Student Life, you will see that they have something known as, what am I looking for? I'm looking for the course requests, transcripts, college online learning. Oh. Do you see the course catalog, Ina and Susie? Let's see if it's over here. I'm not seeing the course catalog. Okay, so let me type in course catalog. Ta-da, course catalog. It's under resources. Aha, brilliant. Okay, so this is the course catalog. And so when you're asking about course selection and so forth, if you're trying to find out details about what each of the classes is about, this is where you're going to go. So those of you, so my child, for example, is starting ninth grade. So she's part of the class of 2026. Her graduation requirements are over here and listed for what she needs to graduate, how many credits she needs and so forth. Now her classes, so when she takes classes, her course selection is going to be over here. So a lot of you are asking questions about course selection. Here is a guide to help you what's best and what are suggested for your child in science. You also have suggestions in the course to help you make course selections for math. So if your child, for example, took CCS 8 last year, most likely they're going to be taking Algebra 1, geometry, and then go down this pathway. So there are different pathways students can take. And of course, this is all self-select. We would never recommend a student who's taking CCS 8 to jump straight to geometry, but this is suggested ones that for students. It also has a CTE class information, career and technical education, because many CTE classes also count for credit towards math and science and so English language arts. Someone was asking about world language. So you're looking for just the regular world language syllabus. This gives you information for each of them. But if you're looking for the world language test information, I believe it's in here. Also, dual credit, I can't find it over here, but email me and I can help you find more information about the world language, that test that you have to take. I can't figure out where it's at right now. So what is the expectation for high school students to be a volunteer? There is no requirement to be a volunteer. If a child wants to be part of National Honor Society usually has requirements for their members to be participating in volunteer work. if your child wants to be in Key Club, a big part of Key Club is to do volunteer activities to show leadership in supporting our community. The reason to volunteer is a good thing in general. It helps build community, helps build student self-worth. In filling out a child's, in a child filling out their application for colleges and being a well-rounded student, schools are looking to see how community-oriented the child is and how generous they are of their time and caring of the community and giving of their time to help other members in their community. So community service is not something to look at as, oh, I need 50 community hours so that it looks good in my child's college application so they can get into this college. They're also looking for, oh, this child does this many college, they might have done 10, but what do they do might be important and what that looks like. Also, when you're giving your letters of recommendation, if you did a community service activity for some organization and it was super beneficial, and you got a raving, wonderful recommendation that really raved about the service that child did in that thing, that goes a long ways. Even if you did only, let's say, 30 hours versus someone who did 50 hours, because of the quality of the work, the impact it had. So there are many factors. So it's hard for me to say that there is a required number of hours. It's really more where your child is going, what college they're going, and what the expectations are and what they expect to see. So when you're thinking about your college, and if that is what you're heading towards, I would definitely look at the colleges that you might be considering and see so kind of backward planning and to see what are the expectations of that college. What kind of student are they looking for? And if your child meets the needs of that college, and how to help that college see your child more as someone that could flourish at that college. I think I have answered the questions in the chat, and if it was not clear. So again, no minimum college application or to receive a scholarship. If they're applying for scholarships, specific scholarships might be looking for it. For language, reader, select curriculum, highly capable. Yeah, so feel free to unmute and ask your question, or if you have no questions and I was able to answer your questions, you're welcome to leave. And also note that you can contact any one of the liaisons, and I'm going to just share that screen as you're asking questions and before you leave, so you can write down any telephone numbers or text numbers so you can contact them. I will send you this entire PowerPoint sometime tomorrow, and then look for it posted, the recording posted on the website. But feel free to ask questions. Those of you who this is going to be your child's first year in high school, welcome to my world. My child will be starting high school next week, Tuesday. I don't know whether to be super excited or to cry. I am very scared and excited at the same time. I was a high school teacher my first 5 years of my education career. I taught high school biology. I love high school. I think high school in the United States is the best. I hope she enjoys being a student in high school as much as I enjoyed being a teacher. I actually enjoyed my high school experience in the US, but I do recognize that schools have changed a lot. I think the pressure on children, there's a lot of pressure on children to succeed academically, to be very competitive. I think sometimes the joy of being in school is sometimes lost right now. So I hope you can encourage your child to find the joy of learning and exploring education and what they're experiencing at school, the information, So it's really a wonderful time. It can be super stressful. And I wish you and your child the best in the next 4 years if your child is starting 9th grade. Also, again, don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have questions, because going down this pathway alone can be very hard and lonely. And so I want you to know that you are not alone. We're here with you.
And for myself, I've had 3 children go through the district, graduate from the district high school. So I have experienced K-12 in the Issaquah School District. So I can tell you, you'll make it and it will all be fine. And Susie is the same. So, you know, we're experienced parents who can let you know that we've been where you are and it all works out.
Yes, it works out for all kinds of students. I had 2 girls go through and graduate, and now they've actually graduated from college and are now working adults, but they were both totally different kids through the school system. One went through all the accelerated classes and the other one didn't, and they both have come out successful. So,
and one of the things is there is no one pathway. I know that as a child who started school in India, it was very much linear. You did this, then you did this, then you did this, then you did this. And then based on these test scores, you then went to certain colleges based on your test scores. But here, there are so many options. Students are taking Running Start. Some kids at IHS are in the AP program. Some kids are doing a combination of Running Start and AP classes. There is no one pathway. There are multitudes of options. Just recently, the liaisons and I were talking about the amazing number of CTE classes and what they have to offer, because the world is so different than when I went to school. Most of the jobs being offered right now didn't even exist when I was in high school. I don't want to date myself because, I don't look a day over 25, but so many jobs exist and the pathways to get to those jobs are very different. So keep that in mind and just make sure that you see yourself as a mentor and coach. One of the things that parents, I think, do is they either too helicoptery and just doing so much, or they're so disconnected. And I think it's important to find this, and I hope I say that knowing that I'm starting this, and Susie and Nina may be able to help me and coach me as a parent. And it's hard, and I hope I can find that in between where, and this is from a teacher perspective, okay? So I'm thinking of myself as if I was my daughter's teacher, what I would tell me as a parent. Find that middle ground where coach your child, show your child how to do it, model, mentor, talk. And I know that that's hard, especially given that so many children are at such different levels. With COVID, kids are coming out of COVID differently. It really impacted them. Maybe some of them have gaps. Anxiety is high. We have so many more learning disabilities, anxiety and social, emotional concerns for students. So kids sometimes seem like we have to remember the kids, and sometimes they're a little bit more fragile than we realize and more resilient than we realize. So it's both. So how do we get to, really, okay, today you need this, so I'm going to do it this way, but tomorrow I've got to go here, because now you're like, no, mom, I can do it all, leave me alone. So I'm going to back off, but I'm still going to shadow, So really trying to make sure you're shadowing your child through all of this and yet giving them space, because they always want that space right now. So thank you so much for joining us. And if you don't have any more questions, it is 8:11. Feel free to leave. And if you have questions, we'll be here. We have scheduled till 8:30 to be available to answer any questions. So no worries. Don't be shy.
Thank you so much for offering this night. I really appreciate you.
No worries. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope to talk to you soon. We'll see you soon.
For sure. See you.
Susie, were you able to get our numbers at the, when we had? You're welcome, thank you. And honestly, I don't know if I answered your question, Reemsha, so please send me an email and I will answer any questions, or we can chat, because there's so much information right now, it can be overwhelming. Take care.
I could move the last, I could move.
Victor, let us know if you have any questions or if you're, that's okay. So the
I
way you able to
can-
get our numbers?
Yeah, I'm gonna move him.
18.
I'm gonna move him to the waiting room, and that way. Then he's out. So it's just us three here.
So Lorna, it looks like the chat was only going to you, so we couldn't
Yeah,
see.
we couldn't help you at
So
all.
we couldn't help you with any of the questions
And
because
I'm
we
not
couldn't
sure
see
if
them.
they purposely wrote to you. Because
Because it was
as a
all
co-host,
direct-
I think I would have
But I
seen.
didn't even have the option to select everyone. So I could only send a message to either Lorna or you. So somewhere,
Susie, remember you used to be able to see the information. Was I doing something differently then?
I don't know if maybe in the very beginning under, when you first set up under settings or something.
So let me
Because I couldn't,
Let
I
me
didn't
edit
see
my
it either.
settings tomorrow before you, if you come in and I haven't done it and you're not
Yeah.
getting it, let me edit my settings. Because I know in the olden days,
yeah, we could both
could.
see everything
Yeah.
and we could, and they were posting questions to everyone.
Yeah,
And we couldn't see any of them.
nothing. And
today.
Ina actually wasn't, she was just admitted, but not as a co-host. So that's why Ina didn't have any
Okay.
access to
Okay,
anybody else.
so tomorrow I can change that because I don't think Ina has, and we should check tomorrow, Ina, I can check now. I don't think people were signing up today because Chanju posted all of the events.
So I also let Chanju know that I'm going to be doing a Q&A session on Monday at 10. So she can let people know.
Yeah, and one of the things is I couldn't find it anywhere. I cannot stand the website sometimes. The world language test.
I know, I was gonna,
Catalog, they should say course catalog on the side rather than resources. I'm like, why is it so hard?
I know.
but you know, I guess we were looking at Liberties and it's, I think it's just right there for
No,
Liberties
we were looking at
counseling
Issaquah
web.
High.
No, I mean,
Liberty.
at
Yeah.
work, we were looking at it
At Liberty.
earlier.
And that's the thing, everyone is so different. Oh, how sad. I'm glad you have that information because only 2 people signed up for feedback.
No, so there were 18 people at the
Yeah,
high.
Oh.
18. And
But-
surprise, and everyone stayed
Yeah, I know.
pretty much
That was-
all the way through. Nobody was dropping out, which I
And
was,
they thanked us, so I mean, I don't know why they didn't, because I can't send email. I will
So
sell,
Susie, when you put it in the chat, could they see it?
I went to everybody. It
yeah, I
said.
could see it. So Susie, what I'm gonna do tomorrow is I'm gonna share the list with you. And so we can just say if we recognize who all attended. And even though they didn't fill out the feedback form, I will just send them the
The
PowerPoint anyway.
Yeah, they didn't. Oh, so you only
Yeah.
have 4 right now?
Two.
Oh,
She only
oh,
has
3. Someone they're still filling
Maybe
it out, I
they're
guess.
still,
Yeah, 3 people have filled it out.
Well, yeah, maybe we should wait because they'll just, because you did say I won't send the PowerPoint until
But
if you fill out the form.
so most helpful, everything, calendar. Oh, I'm glad I worked hard on the calendar one and Q&A, lunch courses. Oh, good. All good stuff. So I feel good now because I'm like, what did you need? And then Katrin was the woman I worked with a lot for the shot clinic. Remember, she was the lady
Oh,
who last minute came. She's from Denmark. So I'm going to
okay.
meet with her separately. She was texting me or chatting with me. I'm
Oh.
actually going to see if I can invite her to join the Family Partnership Advisory team because ever since we lost Lottie from, remember, I loved her. So maybe this person could be my Western European representative.
Northern,
Cool.
yeah.
So,
Um,
yeah. So
is she at Issaquah High or what school
Yeah.
is she? Okay.
So at least I think so. I didn't even know she was a family. Like we just started chatting for the clinic, and I didn't even know her name, honestly. And then she emailed me and asked me a question. I'm like, oh, that's who you are. So that's how I figured out who she was.
Okay.
Okay.
So you finished your PowerPoint at 7:45. And so you had almost a half an hour of people.
Yeah, that's good. It's, just brief and to the point. And I mean, and it's even still, it's a lot of information for high
It was a
school.
lot of information.
Tomorrow's is actually going to be slightly less because I focused a lot on course selection because so many parents were asking me about course selection. And tomorrow for middle school, there's not as much of that because I was so worried about course selection information. So I think tomorrow's I'll be able to again end at 7:45 and then have half an hour. Remember that last year we only spent an hour on this presentation.
Mhm. Yeah, I think next year we're gonna have to do something about maybe advertising it during the summer.
Last year we spent an entire week advertising it because remember we got done with EVP
Yeah.
and then I had the week in between to work with Susie and Beth to advertise for it. This year I didn't have that.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying we can have just the district send out the advertising, not do our email invitations, but at least have it on the websites and on our Facebook.
What I would
pages
love
and
is if
stuff.
we could somehow put it in new student enrollment page.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And so if you're a new student and you're unfamiliar, please call this person and then, we can help you. And so then that way, at least we're getting families to say, hey, so I want to have a bigger presence on the new student enrollment page.
And maybe the EVP page. Since there is an EVP
Yeah, but EVP
information
page doesn't really help me as much. And I honestly do not want to be associated with EVP. Just because it's so overwhelming for families.
I know. So I feel like if it was before the whole EVP came out, it would be
Yeah, because that's
something in there that they can keep in the back.
Exactly. That's what, so like, even if Beth sent it out, even while we're still off, if Beth sends it out, includes it in
Yeah.
the
And honestly, I
that
think
goes
the
out.
only reason that didn't happen is because I was literally working till Friday getting stuff done. Like
I
it
know.
was just
I know.
there's just
We
too many
didn't.
things happened last
Yeah.
year. Like I didn't have time to get ready over the summer.
Yeah,
Well,
June
It's
was
my choice
crazy.
that I refuse to work. And the reason I
Right.
do all of that is because I usually do extra work in August.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this is, and honestly, I'm going to tell you, I heard gossip that it's possible that my number of days will increase. And so that probably will solve a lot of this problem because I'll probably be able to come earlier in August to back to work to get ready for this because right now it's crazy. I literally finished writing this yesterday and then went over the liaisons for it today. Tomorrow, we're going to go over the middle school and do it tomorrow night. It's like just in time. So
Yeah.
We need to do elementary even before because I'm presenting elementary to Russian parents on Thursday itself.
Yeah.
what time?
1:30.
So chances are we'll probably do it between 11 and 1 because I have a thing, but I don't I have to correct I have to correct the middle school, like make some changes and update it. I didn't even do any of my Canvas lessons today that I was supposed to,
I know.
and Sharon did. So I need to spend some time doing that Canvas stuff. And then my afternoon tomorrow is what I'm hoping to write my elementary school. The good news is we're doing the same elementary school from last year to this year with some edits. I'm struggling a little bit because I saw a decrease in how much Clever was being used,
Mhm.
from COVID to last year. So
I think that's true. They're going back to using much more in person, whatever.
which is hard because if you it's the whole edtechtosa.
I know.
And
I know.
So I
Mine-
don't want to go away from it because I think that the goal is to do more of it, but since they have edtechtosa, but they don't have instructional coach. So I don't know what this year is going to look like when it comes to Clever. So I think we'll present it, but I'm not going to focus on it too much. I'm going to focus on, I'm so glad that the bus thing is there because that was
Yeah,
the
that
was
number
good.
one. Yeah, the kindergarten families, I'm gonna have to, in elementary school, I spend a lot of time on bus, on lunches, on getting your kids on the bus, the first day of school, the supply list, so all of that stuff. So I'm not gonna change too much on that. So that is pretty good. I think we did a good job last year. So I'm not too worried because I feel like I can just use most of what I did last year and edit and update it because especially a lot of the websites were changed.
Mhm.
So it
So,
shouldn't take me more
Lorna,
than 2 hours.
do you think you would continue to have these sort of tips and resources for, middle element, all of the
In
levels?
August, I think it's most
August?
needed in August.
So then on that enrollment page, it seems like it would be nice if there was just a blurb that just says that we're going to have something. Don't have to have a date, but it's always just sort of thrown in there that, a parent workshop is
But
coming.
where would you put it? Because honestly,
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. I
if you
haven't
look
looked.
at, click on family access and portal, and then it'll drop you to family access. And then there's literally just a little box that says EVP. Click on
Well,
EVP.
what about, just for new student enrollment?
That's what I'm
general.
saying. I can put it in new student
See,
enrollment.
I
That's
feel
the
like
page.
if
I
you
don't wanna
just
put it
have a
on-
little blurb there, not
Yeah,
an
I don't want
EVP.
to go into enrollment verification EVP. What I want to have is a presence in new student enrollment. So
Yeah.
under new student enrollment, I want to have like a tab in there somewhere saying, and I need that shared information. So see how it says begin new student enrollment.
Uh-huh.
It says kindergarten information. I want to have a tab in there that says families new to the US public school system.
Well, could
And
it
then
link
couple-
to your,
And then it links straight to my
Resources.
website. And under my website, I'd say, welcome families. Here's an introduction video. Here's how to get help. So I'd have like all of that on a page in our page.
and then it's just there, and it's almost like it could be
The landing
it say
page.
something about, that it's coming, but here's what we did last year, because last
No,
year
well,
it'd be there.
it'll take them to events. It'll take them if you need
Mhm.
help filling out the enrollment. Because the thing is, do you need help in filling out the enrollment? Call this person. So very clear. And
Mhm.
I want to include it for the city page. The city of Issaquah is looking to share something for the district for our families that are culturally diverse. And I
Oh.
can share that. So basically it's something that we, share it with real estate agents. Hey, real estate agents, when you sell a house and you have children, and you know that the family might need this, give them this link. So that's what the parent partnership team had told me a couple years ago. Try to reach out to the city and to real estate agents.
Oh,
So that's my ultimate goal, because they were like, families really, and then we can share it with Kakao Talk, to WeChat, WhatsApp, saying if you have a family coming into the school and you're not familiar with the school system, go to this website, start here.
mhm.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's not necessarily going to point them to the tips and resources event.
Oh,
But
it would, because when they click on this
They'll have
enrollment,
the link.
oh,
yeah,
the
it would
video
have
from
all-
from
Yeah.
the previous
And then it
one.
would have like all that information. It would have a video and it would have, here's the, if you need help, call this person.
Mhm.
And here are some events coming up, and it would link to our events to help explain that. And it would be mainly the tips, and we could update it like in April, May, June, put tips and resources. If they come in September, October, showing them transition, or just say, watch these videos. You missed the event, just watch the video. So tips and resources would be there, but the resources would be there, not the inviting to come join,
Right.
right? So that could easily be done, and we would just add a fourth block to our webpage, and that's where they'd go.
Yeah.
So basically, we would add another tab on our webpage. But
Mhm.
that, see, and instead of me doing crazy work, and that could be one of the things I work on as my goal this year for new families, especially if my number of days increase.
Where
So-
did you hear they might increase?
It was whispered in the
So-
closet.
Well, we're told that, information is coming out.
I mean, is this like through potential bargaining, you mean?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
The bargaining just got accepted yesterday. And
It's
Oh,
so,
it
accepted?
did?
yeah,
So it's final?
yeah. So last night we got an email saying bargaining is done.
Oh,
Oh,
And
wow.
so we are going to vote for our contract on Monday, but honestly, we never vote no, right? But because of the bargaining team did the work. And so the bargaining team is slowly going to share some highlights, and they gave us some highlights as to what is going to be shared with
Oh.
us on Monday.
was there other good stuff in there?
I don't know. Rich was asking me a couple things. I'm like, I don't know. So, because like some things they can't quite do till we know all of it, but they haven't shared all of it.
Mhm.
So, but I know, Ina, you were asking about your salary, but I think ours goes first. And then the SIEU uses this as they start bargaining for their contracts.
Oh, yeah, I know. I mean, and we're unrepped anyway, so it doesn't matter.
But, weren't we trying to figure out where do these who determines unwrapped? Like even
So-
mine, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
I think it's all based on the rep people's salary. So as they change the rep people's salary, then they're like,
Did you hear about HR's unwrapped salary increase?
what?
No, what?
It hasn't, I haven't heard any final thoughts and information about it, but all of HR's people are unwrapped, right? Alyssa, Robbie, all those guys, they're
I
all,
didn't know they were unwrapped.
they are all unwrapped.
All
And
of them?
yes, I believe so.
Wow.
Hmm.
And I didn't see what their contract was, but the rumor was they got a massive pay increase.
Seriously?
Yes. And so Katie Taylor, remember, she used to be in HR.
Mhm.
She left and went to Shirley's position.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Mhm.
What I heard was because she wanted the pay increase. And
Oh,
now
and so now,
I heard HR is getting paid more. Those unrepped HR positions are getting paid more than the admin assistant positions.
Oh,
So Katie was not happy. And I think that's how maybe it leaked. They're trying to figure out how that got
mean,
approved, who approved it. Who
yeah,
approved it? I don't know.
it has to be fair. I mean,
Who is working right next to HR? Who would never ask anyone, like made very random decisions, I mean, really, like who was controlling what he was doing?
nobody was controlling what he
There
was
was
doing.
no oversight.
He was his own little fiefdom.
It's like
So-
you go and ask him. I mean, that's literally what Elena was fighting. You
Mhm.
go and present
He
your case.
either says yes or no.
Yeah,
That's
based on
the
how
way
much
it
he
was
likes
run.
you and what he thinks. So I would totally agree. I can't imagine all the different things Martin's going to find out.
And he doesn't necessarily like equity or diversity, so he
He
may
did,
not.
so he's no longer in here. So that's what I'm saying. I'm very
But
confused.
so that's why I mean, I can see that we wouldn't get the increase that HR did.
Yeah,
But
so
I don't
the
know
thing is,
who's,
Martin is going to be analyzing all of that. All of that is going to be under Martin right now. To
Yeah,
look
but our
at-
contract, I mean, we have to get it
No,
on
all of your
Monday.
contracts in the next month, because SEIU looks at contracts. If that's already being discussed, they're going to have conversations.
Ina, when do you guys usually get your contract?
The first, I mean, our first day of work is Monday. We get it usually within the day or two of
Is
starting
that when
work.
is that when you usually see yours?
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't come on Monday, because we will be in the office that day, then we won't see it till Friday. I don't know if it'll come by then. But I don't remember ever having gotten it later than that.
Wow, I didn't realize it was so right then and the, on the day you start basically. Because ours comes, I already got mine.
Yeah,
Well,
but what is
that means
your
that I'm getting
contract
a-
here?
Mine is September 1st through August 31st.
same as
So-
them.
But
So
I
the
got
same-
mine last month.
Yeah,
Or-
so ours, I mean, like.
And I always get it relatively sometime in the summer.
Well, because I think your position is more prevalent in the district,
Yeah,
and we're outliers. Like, we're just kind of hanging around, floating out there. So
But Susie, does that mean you're not getting a raise?
no, I got one, a little one.
Okay.
I mean,
I mean,
I'm fine.
cost of living,
So I guess,
right?
Ina and all, you're going to find out when y'all get that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But so
we don't
Ina,
find.
you guys also, the voice specialists are the same, in the same boat as you guys, I believe.
Yeah,
I don't know if their salary is the same.
it's the same because they used
Okay.
your job description to make the
Yeah, I
voice.
mean, Heidi asked me a lot of questions about it, but I didn't. I don't know. I don't know the
Believe me,
specifics of
Jason
their
even told
salary.
me that they used my description.
Yeah, no, it's the same. They're the same. They're under, their
They
contract.
just changed words in the description, but they took everything else.
Oh.
And
Well,
even
I mean,
attendance.
I don't know how they're like whether they're full time, like if they're 40 hours or
They're the same
'cause,
as
you know,
yours.
they're a
They
bit more sporadic than
They are
us.
actually same as yours, but there is an unwritten schedule change in theirs. They work 181 days, but because of something that voice has to do in the summer,
It's
they
not the same days as
flex
us.
their days,
Yeah.
where they change out their days. And so they don't work some days, which is why, like, Tina, I think, doesn't work on Tuesdays because she has worked all these other days.
And then
Yeah.
Heidi doesn't work on Friday.
And Heidi doesn't work on Fridays. And so they work out their schedule on their own and then submit it with 181 days of work.
Okay.
So I
They would
don't know.
like to do.
Yeah.
So you guys still paid 180. I'm fighting that
Wait,
I want
what? You broke up.
190
What? You're
days.
breaking up.
So that's what I've heard them mention as I've asked. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's what I've heard them mention when I've asked for more hours for the FPLs to
Mhm.
have them flex their days and, like, let's say not work the week of Thanksgiving or not work 2 days on this week. But the problem is when they don't work, they're not at schools. Parents are still having issues
Yeah. I
those
mean,
days. So
when
I don't
we
want
don't
to
work,
reduce.
we don't work.
Yeah,
So.
I am not going to be in agreement to any kind of reduction of number of days. I want to, like, they right now for them, I have 10 extra days. I want to work it out that it's maybe 15 extra days. I would never agree to flex days because
We've
that
tried
actually doesn't-
flexing it, but it doesn't work.
But it, and
And
it
I-
also impacts their work.
I don't think, I mean, I think your schedule is not the same as the voice schedule. Like you
Yeah.
have very set evening events that they don't necessarily have.
Because
So it's
honestly,
easier
after
for
the
them to flex.
yeah,
Yes,
once
it
the
is.
voice people get their mentors lined up, and yeah, it's very heavy in August. They don't really need to do as heavy duty maintenance in September, October, right? Because it's like more bookkeeping and everything. So it's very different. Like Ina and the liaisons have to meet with new parents that are
Oh,
happening
yeah.
regularly, who are in crisis regularly.
Mhm.
Students are failing regularly. It's not like a student's not going to fail the week before Thanksgiving.
And the
Right.
voice, Tina and Heidi have site coordinators at
Mhm.
every building to
Yeah.
field all of those.
And
things.
we also work with the site coordinators.
Oh, okay.
So-
So, it's
yeah,
not
so
the
that-
same.
It's 100% not the same, because I honestly, like, they get paid for so many days for a job that is very, very different.
Mhm.
And the only reason their schedule exists as it is because it got inherited from ISF.
Oh.
Right?
Mhm.
And they were told to kind of give those positions.
And
So,
their hours increased exponentially because they weren't spending as many hours. At the foundation, they weren't spending as many hours.
Mm.
because they made them full-time jobs.
They made them full-time
They
jobs.
weren't full-time before then?
No.
Oh.
So it's a very different position right now. So
Yeah.
even though, and that's one of the things I want to keep, I mean, I'm totally happy that they joined our group, but the liaisons do a very different job
It
than the
is,
voice, and I don't want them to be compared, because I don't want our jobs to be going into the flex mode. I want more days.
correct.
And I'm not going to be happy if they flex them, because I need them to work more in January and keep all the 181 days.
I wouldn't mind a pay raise. Just putting it out there,
Oh,
but
well,
I unfortunately do not have a conversation about that.
I know.
I am curious what they're gonna do. I mean, that HR thing was,
So
That's-
hidden, like who even talked to who?
That's I mean, if people find out about that, that's gonna cause quite an uproar because
I mean, think about all the entire SIEU.
it's not
union.
fair.
I'm sure they know.
yeah,
So
it's
they're
not.
going to, when they talk about it, like Marianne Dickren was very upset about how, like, she's not been getting salary. Like the classified staff, they get paid very little. Like even
Yep.
compared to you guys, they get paid $10 less than you guys.
Yeah, they do.
And so it's a huge deal. So it makes it a big bone of contention between classified and unrepped, because if you're unrepped, your salary already is so much higher
Yeah.
than the repped people.
Right.
And so that causes problems, like why are they doing this? And so it's a lot. TLS gets a very different salary than the FPLs and voice. So
Right.
Yeah.
It
I
is.
mean, and yeah. I mean, we're already in the plus in our hours, and we're still doing hours from last year, right? Because our contract goes till the end of August. So
So,
that's gonna
Mm.
look strange.
Ina, did you guys are still working on your 80 hours from last year,
We've
right?
already gone through our 80 hours.
Did you use all yours up?
No, but
I'm already on the plus side and in the
so those
spreadsheet.
hours are going to be for next year.
So did you already submit the request for comp for all that yet?
No, I'm just gonna do it, before like our contract starts on Monday, so I'll do it Friday.
Okay.
But I don't know, you can tell me whether I should do up to the 80 and then save anything that's over for next year and put it in next year's, but I don't know how to do that because
I feel like Lorna, I don't know how, Lorna might need to talk to Elena about these specific extra hours. Because
yeah,
I mean, you guys have we've documented the hours that
We've documented
everything's
everything.
documented.
Yeah.
And maybe, and I feel like this is going to show
Mhm.
why you need more than those 10 days.
Yeah.
Because if you're
Especially-
starting this next school year and you're already used part of that 10 days, and we haven't even gotten to August of next year, it's,
So one of the things,
We're always going to be over.
yeah,
and honestly, my bone of contention is EVP. EVP is causing this.
Yes.
And so when I mentioned it to Heather, her response was, maybe they don't work 3 days, another day. And they take it out that way.
But we have, well,
but there's
okay.
just,
But there's
And I'm
work
just
to-
saying that
yeah.
I brought this up because the thing is,
When did you talk
last-
to Heather?
She
came
stopped
to my
by
event
and-
like 2-3 times.
Oh,
Came
by
into my
while we
room and
were
talked to me
doing
while I
EVP.
was
Yeah.
doing the event on Thursday. So, and I told her, I was like, this is really hard because when we first started this, when they got hired that first year, we did EVP on 1 day. And then in the second year, we did EVP on 1 day. But the past 2, and this is our 3rd year, we've now taken EVP to 2, the first COVID year.
2.5 days.
And then last year we did it 5 days. And then this year,
This
we
year,
are
it's probably going to be that too. I'm probably going to be going into helping people do EVP over Zoom, like, because I'm getting registrars contacting me that so-and-so hasn't done it. They're
So,
Spanish speakers.
the thing is,
So-and-so
we said-
hasn't done it.
yeah, so the
You know.
district has to decide. We do EVP on so-and-so day, we do as many families we can, and if we don't, registrars take over, we're gonna back up. I'm not gonna worry about it. I don't want to do it either. It's a lot of work. Like today was ridiculous. I was trying to write my tips and resources and I'm running and trying to help Ina. I'm trying to help Liliana. Alicia comes with, she's helping one parent. Another parent randomly shows up. Liliana, can you please support this parent? It's chaos, right? And so last year, luckily, what's her name? I can't remember her name, but she wanted a job in our team. So she was helping us and agreeing to any hours like crazy. But this year, like they have their lives. Ina has other personal life appointments and everything going. Liliana,
Uh-oh.
you're paying them or they're not. Otherwise, it's awkward for me to say, can you do this? But you're really not scheduled to work.
And you know what? I really feel like we are doing the registrar's job. I understand that they're very, very busy, but we've given them the tools to be able to use
No, but I
Album.
don't think that's fair
and-
because the registrar office jobs got cut. And so the registrars are down or half.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And so when I talked to all of them, they were struggling. They're like, I'm trying to do work and I have a parent sitting next to me and trying to fill their EVP. And I'm being constantly interrupted while I'm answering their questions. And I'm like, oh my God, I know how that is, right?
Yeah.
Because on
yeah.
Thursday, while I was trying to support the liaisons and Sandra and Alicia and Jennifer and Teresa Coward, I mean, people were coming in, people are texting me, they don't need this, they need this. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm still trying to make calls. I'm trying to, you can't multitask. And the registrar is doing so much stuff. So they either have to give more support to the registrar or go give me more hours for EVP, but they can do both. But when they do that, they have to decide. So when Heather said, oh, maybe we need to look at the EVP, the FPL schedule and see if they can work more in the summer and like have them flex it and be because of the money thing. And I was like, oh, Heather's not going to be interested in my idea of increasing the hours. She's going to want to play around their work schedule.
Yeah, but there's just, you guys are so busy. August, pretty much September. It's like flex. I mean, how far out in the year are you going to go that you're
So
going to
the only thing that has come up before is like the day before school ends. Like, they get Friday before Christmas break, an extra Friday before Thanksgiving, the 3 days of Thanksgiving week and stuff like that, which is hard because, they also want to get paid, right? Because those 3 days they don't work sometimes. And it is possible because it's truly, sometimes they do tell me that the days were slow, certain days are slow. So do we look at what days are slow and say those days that are naturally slow because of what's happening in the school, we don't work, So is that
Or
something?
we cut our hours during the day, like
Take an hour, make it a shorter
instead
day.
of, yeah, we work 8 to 3:30 instead of 8 to 4:30. I don't know.
But that's
I
hard
don't know.
too, because the reason I purposely asked for all-day work is so that they could meet with parents after school
Yeah, I mean, and
and go to
the
meetings.
last 2 years we haven't, but yeah, I'm sure that's gonna pick up
And
again.
so that's
I
one of
don't
the things. So this year is very different from the other years because we're back in person. So we need to see how this year goes.
Mhm.
And then if we need to flex because they're 100% not giving us more money for days. And if they go over their 80 hours, do they then take like 3 days off in November or 3 days off in December? And
I
like,
mean,
And
I
is
think,
that,
and that's something Elena's gonna have to decide soon because we've all gone over our 80 hours for this year. And so in order to not carry that over into next year, she's gonna have to decide what we should do.
I mean, can you realistically like take like the entire week of Thanksgiving off and not be behind on?
Um, I-
realistically, they could take Wednesday off because Wednesday.
One day, but that's only one day. I mean, you guys are
Yeah,
still.
but
like-
maybe Tuesday, Wednesday off. Or maybe the Friday before winter break. But the thing is, it's something that it has to be discussed with Elena, me, and the
Elena has to know, yeah, and she has to make that final decision because,
it's her
she-
budget.
yeah, she's responsible. So,
Yeah,
personally, I don't mind taking the whole week off for Thanksgiving, but yes, I do. Sometimes there are needs.
yeah.
And-
Well, and they're not like planned. They never are.
Yeah,
You're-
yeah,
So, Ina,
it's stuff just comes up.
Yeah.
so that's why, Ina, I'm going to tell you that tomorrow, I don't think you should come to this event in the evening because then you can save the 2.5 hours for the extra work you're doing on Wednesday and Thursday with your own presentations for that.
Yeah,
Because-
I have to come in tomorrow morning though.
No, you're
I
going to
may
come
not
for
do the
Passage
present.
Point. Yeah, so you're going to come in for Passage.
Don't come tonight, tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Then.
And if you have emails that you need to schedule, maybe you send them to me and just say, these are the parents, and then I can schedule them. So any Spanish speaker that you need to send.
Yeah, I'm
But
gonna
what we'll
look
do-
through all that. I have so many different emails and requests for EVP help that I just need to go through it all and
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Liliana and Wendy are done with their email requests for EVP. So I think you're the only one left. So if you just let me know, and then I can help you with that tomorrow and on Thursday. Because I have to schedule and help coordinate with Sandra and Alicia anyway. And this way I can start calling those families.
Okay.
So just start sending me those emails.
yeah.
Because
And
I
I'll
wasn't
just
sure, I
see-
didn't know you were getting emails. I was thinking they were just coming on my form. So,
Oh, no, these are from registrars at schools.
yeah, because I know Chris Ellis sent you one and I know Amber
That's
Bryant sent
Passage
you one for
Point, that's
Passage Point.
different.
Yeah,
That's
so just send me the other schools and everything, just send them to me and we'll see what we can do.
yeah,
So.
I have to compile them, but yeah. And then tomorrow evenings, I mean, I don't know who's registered, so I'll just have to,
Yeah, tomorrow is mainly Chinese and English. So, and if we have any Korean, we can just work with them.
Yeah,
Next
I'll
week,
just-
we see them.
schedule them with on
Yeah,
a different day. I can do Monday. I seem to have Monday relatively open, so.
yeah. So we just, I think, also have to look at how to be flexible with some of these presentation times. So,
Mhm.
All right.
okay, ladies, thank you so much.
All right.
I'm very happy with today's presentation, so let's hope tomorrow goes smoothly too.
Yep.
Okay,
right.
thank you so
See
much
you
for your
guys.
help. All,
Bye.
I'll look for the video, my recording. Okay,
Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
all right, see you tomorrow.
yes.
Okay.